Hey guys, Level Cap here. Today is Monday, which means it's time for an episode of Loadout, the series where you guys, the viewers, get to pick a gun and customization for me to use. The way you do this is you leave a comment down below letting me know what kind of weapon and accessories you'd like me to run with, and I will pick one of the top rated comments for the next episode. Today's top comment comes from Lucas Stoden, who says the Mad Scout, Russian 1895 trench variant, with the Bodeo revolver, a flare gun with the flash flare, K-bullets, a knife, and mini grenades. You have lost your mind and decided to rush the objectives with this bizarre arsenal of weaponry. Spam like crazy and try to survive. Now, normally I really like the Russian 1895, but generally when I talk about it, I'm talking about the sniper variant of this weapon, which really couldn't be more different from the trench variant. The damage model, the rate of fire, pretty much everything about this weapon is pretty damn different. So this one does not have a sweet spot. It's got a traditional sniper rifle drop off where it does 79 in close quarters and 40 at a distance. That means this is a sniper rifle in which you will not be one-shot headshotting your opponent at extreme ranges. So it has that going against it. At a mere 40 meters away from you is where you lose your one-shot headshot potential. The upside to this rifle is that it has one of the fastest rate of fires of any of the sniper rifles in the game, which is 124 rounds per minute. You can fire and rechamber a round incredibly fast, which gives you sort of a spammy way of using this weapon. Or you can try and go for the headshots in close quarters, but that is very difficult, and if you're up against decent players that stay nimble and moving a lot, those headshots become very difficult. It is without question a very difficult weapon to use. It can be a lot of fun though, especially when you start going on little kill streaks. You feel like a total badass, and the lever action effect of the 1895 is really cool. I like the look of a lever action rifle. Totally impractical as a rifle if you're, say, laying prone and just generally speaking using as a long range sniper rifle, because the lever action itself will actually throw you off target, because you usually have to move the rifle if you're laying down to actually activate the lever action. So it's not as practical of a design for actually sniping with, but sort of as like a guide gun design or standing up and firing. It is just a really cool look. Now, of course, being limited to 5 shots with this weapon greatly limits what you can do with it. So basically, you're down to like 2 kills in close quarters unless you start landing those headshots, and then you gotta reload. The Bodeo revolver is a fun sidearm to have. The reload is painfully slow, but before you have to reload the revolver itself, it's decent and fun to use. Just pray you don't have to reload it quickly, because that's not going to happen. The Bodeo does enough damage in close quarters to one-shot headshot, but as soon as you start hitting around the 15-meter mark, that is going to go away, and you're going to have to get 2 body shots most likely to take somebody down, or even 3. So the Bodeo really isn't a long-range revolver. It's a close-range weapon. You don't have too many options with this kit for extreme long-range options. This can get kills at extreme long ranges, but I found myself 3-shotting other snipers at further ranges, which just feels totally ridiculous with this weapon, given that the iron sights are horrible for accuracy, and the fact that you only have 5 bullets in your magazine. Having to 3-shot somebody at range is just a silly situation. Occasionally possible and doable, but it just feels like you're not using the gun to its full potential, which you're not. This gun should be used in close to medium range. Now, if you don't pick this weapon for the Recon class, but you still think it looks familiar or that you've used it a bit, it is the cavalry weapon as well. And that just kind of goes to show you, I see a lot of games where people don't pick the cavalry class, which is essentially a stronger infantry that can heal itself and distribute its own ammo. It's an excellent class, but it uses this weapon as a primary. And because this weapon is so unforgiving, a lot of people won't pick it. I actually enjoy playing the cavalry class quite a bit, but they've really done a lot to sort of bring the class in line, and since this gun is very hard to use and you have to be extremely accurate and quick on the wrist to get any kills, a lot of people just don't really enjoy it that much. Now, another thing that sets this rifle pretty far apart from the other Russian 1895s is the muzzle velocity. The other Russian 1895s shoot at over 800 meters per second, making them excellent rifles for long-range shooting. They can hit moving targets without too much lead. This trench variant, however, only shoots shoots 580 meters per second, so even hitting moving targets sometimes does become a bit difficult. Frankly, I don't really like how much the muzzle velocity has been reduced. The weapon or the rifle itself is shorter than the other ones, which in real life would reduce the muzzle velocity, but not by the extent which they have in the game. And I feel that the reduced muzzle velocity does make it a little bit too difficult to hit those moving targets, which is such a big requirement of this weapon. You'll notice that I have one of the elite skins for the gun as well, which is pretty cool. And something that I've started to notice, especially since I use this gun a lot when I'm playing the cavalry class, is that I actually find the iron sights easier to use with the golden camo on there because it contrasts the iron sights better against the ground. Otherwise, you're going to have black metal iron sights, and those tend to blend in a lot with shadows and make it harder to aim. So I find the gold actually contrasts the iron sights well against the sky and against the ground, making it easier for me to line up my targets ultimately. Whereas the black one, I find I end up getting it lost a lot when I'm shooting at a target that's in a shaded environment. Just an interesting observation, as the weapon skins, especially on iron-sighted weapons, can have a performance effect. I'm sure it's fairly minimal overall and it won't make too big of a deal, but it is something that I just noticed and end up preferring the golden iron sights as opposed to the black metal ones. I haven't played around with the other colors too much, but it would be something worth checking out, like maybe copper or silver is even better. Now, as for the other gadgets and gear in this loadout, using the flare gun with flash on it was something that I was using all the time, obviously in a different manner than the spotting flare. I was trying to blind people. I would also catch some people on fire from time to time. I think objectively, though, this flare is just far less useful than the spotting flare. Being able to spot your enemies in an area around you is just such an incredibly useful tool. And I find that the flash flare doesn't really blind that effectively, or sometimes it'll blind me and not the enemies, or I'll be really close to it and it won't have a blinding effect, and then at other times it will. I've just felt like it's a really inconsistent gadget to use, so I just haven't been that interested in it. As for the mini grenades, they take a little while getting used to. You throw them way further than normal grenades, in addition to which they go further because they also aim a little bit higher, or maybe you just throw them harder so that if you are aiming directly at like a window that's near you, you might throw the grenade over the window because of how high it actually goes when you initially throw it. And so it takes a little bit of a learning curve to learn how to throw the mini grenades properly. I find they're actually harder to place than normal grenades in general because they fly faster and have less of an arc, so it's harder to get them to land where you want them to go. I prefer a frag grenade, easier to get kills with. The mini grenades are okay, I got a few kills with them, but I have a feeling that I would have gotten significantly more kills just using a normal frag grenade. Now, although I was having a lot of fun with this loadout, I find the extreme limited capabilities at further ranges really frustrating at times, especially since this doesn't dominate at close quarters. Medium range is your best bet with this loadout, and even then you're not going to be some sort of amazing force. You really have to have good cover with this weapon, pop out for a quick shot, and pop behind cover. You can't stand out in the open trying to go toe-to-toe with another enemy. So it's a very, very situational weapon, and even in the best situation, I think there's better weapons that can easily outclass this one. So just not my favorite gun out there, but it is fun to use, and I think one of the best benefits of using it is that once you get used to using the Trench 1895, the rate of fire, how you have to aim it, what targets to go for, it'll make you a lot better with the cavalry class, and you'll want to be using your primary more with the cavalry class. If you can get good with this and start to take advantage of the cavalry class, which is a significantly better class because of the added health and the ability to heal and give ammo to yourself, you could actually do some real work with this rifle and the sidearm. So obviously I'll be using this gun a bit more with the cavalry class, but I don't think I'll ever willingly use it with the scout class, just because I generally want a rifle that's better at further ranges. And if I really do want something good for medium range, I'll go with either the medic or support class. Both of those classes will easily outclass this rifle, provided of course that you're not some sort of headshot master. If you can hit those headshots every single time you take a shot, then this is definitely a good weapon to use. But then again, if you can do that, I don't really think you need to be watching these videos. And that pretty much wraps it up for today's episode of Loadout. Don't forget to leave your comments down below for next week's episode, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.